Hey, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at the Pokemon model kit Gardevoir from Bandai. Alright, real quick facts about Gardevoir. They are a dual-type Psychic Fairy Pokemon, introduced in Gen 3 Ruby and Sapphire games, and they are one of the evolutions of Ralts, with the other being Gallade. And both, if I'm not mistaken, can be male and or female. So there's that. I've always found the boxes to model kits very interesting. I guess coming from an action figure background, that, you know, there's stuff like on the back of the box, and on model kits there's nothing usually, and this is no different. So I've always found that kind of interesting. And at first I wanted to say that the boxes are simplistic with their design, but then I realized that no, they have a whole bunch of like stuff on them, like telling you information about the figure. But my favorite thing is that it tells you, you know, the age appropriateness for this build. And I like to consider that like a contract between me and Bandai, saying that, you know, if you're 6+ in anything, you should be able to accomplish this model. And I'm 6+ in a lot of things, and not so much in some other areas. But nevertheless, I think I can do this, and I'm really excited because this is my first model kit. So let's see how I did. So, not only is this my first model kit that I'm building, it's the first model kit that I'm building while filming. So, there is a lot of things that I'm learning on the fly here as I filmed this. And it took about 22 minutes for me to finish it. And so, I imagine that if I wasn't filming and being concerned about shots and whatnot, or getting in the frame, that it would take considerably less time to actually build this. That being said, learned a lot from filming this, and now I know what to do and what not to do, hopefully, the next time I build one of these. But I figured I'd save you the full 22-minute version and just kind of give you a glimpse as to what you can expect in the box, and as far as the procedure of putting it together, especially if you're new to this as I am. So once I completed this thing, I was so excited about it. It just surpassed all of my expectations. And I ran outside and found my wife and was like showing it to her, and just really just excited, mostly because, you know, I built my first model kit, you know, that was really rad, but also because this is a Pokemon that I really wanted in my collection. I really like Gardevoir as a Pokemon, and I thought their execution of this model kit is like something I guess what I'm trying to say is my expectations were something of Jazzwares, where, you know, they put out good product, but like the quality and the things that I wanted out of a Gardevoir figure, I wasn't really having a lot of high hopes for Jazzwares to meet those expectations, unless it was going to be in the select line. And even then, I think that might have been too big if they went that route. So I mean, and I don't think they could even actually meet up to my expectations. So with what they do, and that's, you know, that's fine. That's what they do. But then to have Bandai with the model kit, and I'm like, oh snap, this thing looks like how I wanted it to look. And I'm just very taken with this figure. It feels awesome. It has that same feeling of like kind of sort of whenever you get like a high-end electronic, like an Apple phone or an iPad. Did I still say that weird? iPad. There we go. And the box feels amazing and just like very smooth and stuff. Like that's how their gown kind of feels. And the whole figure pretty much. And yeah, it just looks so good and so regal, and just has this like, I don't know, this prestigiousness to it. The face and head sculpt is awesome. The hair piece is really cool. It almost has that fresh out the salon, you know, kind of look. And I totally love it. The only thing I can think of is that I wish it would have come with a second headpiece where I could have used the eyes that are closed that it also came with, so that they're not just sitting in a box for all eternity, and I could like alternate them. Because when I was putting this together, I was a little nervous about putting the stickers on, so I was going to wait until the end to do that. And then it turns out that I needed to get a little bit higher than the hairpiece when it snaps in would allow me, so I had to disassemble it, which was kind of a pain and is not advisable, but not impossible. And so, yeah, to switch them out and to do all that might be a little bit more effort, but nevertheless, what we have here is amazing. I can't say enough good stuff about it, but I kind of need to because I've got a little bit more of this review to do. So now, according to Bulbapedia, an average Gardevoir stands at somewhere around 5 foot 3 inches tall and weighs somewhere around 106, 107 pounds. And this Gardevoir happens to stand at about 5 inches, which, you know, is roughly in the same, you know, scale. However, they are very light, very lightweight. Like, there is some weight to it, but it's not going to blow over, but it's not a lot. There's not a lot here. There's definitely not 106 pounds of it. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of the accessories that it comes with. So I guess you can consider the optional eye stickers as accessories, but really once you put one on, you'd have to take them off to put the other ones on, and then they kind of become useless after that. But nevertheless, you have an option part, I guess is probably the better term for it. You also get a ton of extra sprues and parts that things were attached to. If you can make use of those, that's cool. And then I was totally not expecting to get actual different arm attachments. So you have two folded arms, like where they're kind of like bent, and then you have two extended arms. And I was very impressed with how much motion and life I could get out of the character with switching the arms and posing them with just the limited turns at the plug-in part of the arm. How much range you could kind of get from this figure and such limited, I guess, quote-unquote articulation. And that's really rad. Was not expecting that. All right, now let's see how she compares to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here they are with Jazzware's Dragonite figure and Pokemon Select's Typhlosion figure. Here they are with SH Figuart's Jessie and Figma's Zelda. Here they are next to Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified's Crimson Guard and NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time Arcade Slash figure. Here they are with Jazzware's Oddish, Absol, Wooloo, and Glaceon figures. Here they are next to Figma's Grookey, Scorbunny, Sobble, and SH Figuart's Meowth and Blastoise. Here they are next to Figma's Gloria and Marnie figures, and SH Figuart's Team Rocket, Jesse, and James figures. Here they are next to Jazzware's Peely and Jax Pacific's World of Nintendo Donkey Kong. Alright, so let's take a look at the articulation you're going to get out of Gardevoir. So starting with the head, you get full 360 rotation at the head. She can look up and down. I'm assuming this is a she. I think they can be both genders, oddly enough. And yeah, so yeah, it's on a ball joint. I don't know if you can see it quite that easily there, but yeah, full range of motion. So cool. And then at the shoulder, full 360 as well, considering that this just plugs in. At the wrist, you get a full range of motion there, side to side. Then the other hand, if you will, gets 360 right there. And these are representative of both hand options that you get with this figure. And then her legs are just kind of down there on a ball joint and have a ton of rotation. She doesn't really, they don't really use them necessarily because the I guess the dress kind of keeps them from having to actually stand or use their legs. I mean, I guess they do sort of, but yeah, it's they're not really that pivotal to standing. But nevertheless, you can move them around, and that's really cool. And yeah, so there's the articulation you're going to get out of this Gardevoir model kit figure. So again, if I haven't said it a million times already, this was my first model kit. I had an absolute blast. This was so much fun to put together, and realizing as you're doing it that this is going to turn out a lot nicer and better than you thought it was going to be is a great feeling. And Bandai nailed it with this model kit. It looks and feels wonderful, like just really good quality. And the unsung hero of this entire love story between me and this Gardevoir figure is the price point. I think it's somewhere between $10 and $15. And at that range, if you can even get anything on the shelf for that range, you're probably going to still be getting an action feature or something. And yeah, that's one of, a big turnoff for me with action figures. But when it comes to Pokemon, you don't really have a lot of options, at least here in the States, at that price range. So to now have an option for Pokemon that I can actually not only get a figure that doesn't have any action features, but that is also an experience to where I actually make something. So it's creative. So technically, like I made this figure, you can legitimately say that. And that's really cool. I hadn't actually thought about that, but you can kind of like take ownership of that in a weird way. Not like it's going to look like me or anything, like it takes on my features, which would be very weird. I guess unless it was a Ditto model kit, and then that could be a problem. But you know what? Well, that's a problem for another day. But what's here is excellent. And again, at the price point, you can't go wrong. Because I used to not even think about model kits because for a myriad of reasons, but like off the top of my head, like, you're worried about like if you're going to spend the money and then all of a sudden it's like, it looks really cool in the box and it looks huge and detailed, but then whenever you build it, it's actually only 3 inches tall. And that's not going to go with anything that's like 1/12. Or it's going to be close in scale, but like it's either pre-posed a certain way and has limited articulation. So it's like, what's the point? It's essentially a statue. Or despite it saying no glue, no scissors, no knives, no nothing, it's still gonna probably require something, right? Like surely it can't just be all snaps and stuff. And like, what +6 again, like what's that? Like what, like is it age? Is it inches? Like what is it? I don't know. Like somehow or another I felt like I was going to fail in doing that. Like it was a lot of responsibility. And I'm so glad that I'm on the other side of that now, knowing that that's not the case and this actually works really well. That all being said, what's here is excellent. And, despite this not being an action figure per se with a ton of articulation, what we got is great because not every Pokemon needs a million D points of articulation. So this is really cool. It's really simple, but it does the job. And I'm very happy with it if you haven't been able to tell already. So if you're looking for a Pokemon figure that's really cool, can't go wrong here. If you're looking for an experience, like just to have some fun with a real like inexpensive toy, this is another excellent option. If you know someone who's looking for either of those things, you're not going to go wrong here. You might have to be careful about which Pokemon you pick, but like other than that, I think they'll still be happy and enjoy it. And if you're looking for an alternative to Jakks Pacific's offerings from Pokemon, here in the States at least, this is a good alternative, but also this line can go hand in hand with those and to great effect. And I'm going to have them on the shelf with my Figmas, my D-Arts, my Figuarts, my Pokemon Selects, and the Jakks Pacific's battle figures. So yeah, they work, so far they work well. So there's that option. And lastly, if you're just looking for a fun, inexpensive way to bring some excitement back into the hobby room, I can't recommend Bandai's Gardevoir model kit figure enough. Alright, well that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, please hit that like button, and if you want to see more from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And if I got anything loud and wrong, let me know in the comments, definitely, because I love talking about Pokemon, I love talking about action figures, and I love talking about things that I got wrong, because I want to learn. And so are there any model kit tips that you can like bestow upon my noobness, I guess you could say, so that I can like avoid some things or maybe enhance my experience? What are your thoughts on Gardevoir? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, and if you want to hear more from me, check out my podcast, Turtle Soup Show. My friend and I talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles quite often on the internet, and you can find that on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. And until next time, Elsetime.